Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is María, and in this opportunity, I want to talk about the subject I choose in jail lectures or about jail lectures, which is psychology. The first video I saw, the professor talked about the 5 sub-areas in which psychology is divided. So, the first one is the neuroscience, which studies the brain. The second one was the cognitive psychology, which studies all the process of learning. The third one is the developmental psychology, which studies how we change through life. The next one was the social psychology, which studies how we interact with one another. And the last one was the clinical psychology, which studies the mental illnesses and disorders. I want to focus on the last one, in clinical psychology, because I want to talk about the psychoanalysis. So let's begin. Does the name Simon Freud sound familiar to you? If so, it's because he is the best known psychologist around the world. But why is that? That happens, or that happened because he was the very first one of uh, create a complete scheme of the psychic apparatus. And yeah, also he was the very first one to talk about some controversial topics that we are going to get in later on. So basically, his theory, which is psychoanalysis, is about the unconscious motivation. Um, that is composed of the id, the ego, and the superego. The animal part of the human being is the id, which is guided by the pleasure principle. Basically, this consists of always be looking to something that is like pleasant or provides us motivation with the purpose of avoiding painful and unpleasant situations. So we can see like this animal instinct, which is the id, as an irrational thing. The second one is the ego or the self that works by the reality principle. This is the contrary of the id. And basically, it is our consciousness. The last one is the superego, which is the disordered internalization of society rules. And this one is kind of irrational too, because it tends to be repressive to only tell us that we don't have to do certain things because we don't have to. So it doesn't provide us like logic reasons to do it. It's the same with the id. So the ego functions as a mediator between the id and the superego. So, and this is like the psychic apparatus. He also taught that we create or develop these defense mechanisms which are there to protect us. We create them to protect ourselves. Also, Freud like postulates the 5 stages of the development of our personality. If we have a problem or if we like get traumatized in one of our 5 stages or in one of these 5 stages, we get fixated. That means that we like get stuck in one stage of our lives. So that's how, or that's the reason why we develop those defense mechanisms, because The one that is on charge to develop them is the ego. So the ego creates the defense mechanisms to protect ourselves about this trauma or this unpleasant situation or experience that we lived. So um, he also said that those fixations are kind of the ones who create or yeah, who create the hysteria and people, sorry. um and that's how in the clinical psychology gets connected with the psychoanalysis, because since the very beginning Freud was interested on studying how the mind works because of the mental illnesses and disorders. So he believes that hysteria was the result of a mental illness or disorder. And at the same time, those disorders were like caused by fixations in our childhood. So for him, it was very important to have like a good um development in our childhood and in a good childhood, like in a complete way. So basically, the Freud theory is about the unconscious mind. Also, while I was looking or yeah, like watching the lectures, I was able, sorry, to find some structures which are the usage of even and adverbs, and we can see it in this example that says even more importantly, a lot of these ideas have, and the professor continued talking, importantly is the adverb. I found compound adjectives. He was in his time extremely well known. This is the compound adjective. I also found this phrase and I want to highlight it because I believe it is going to be so useful for me to express myself in a better way. And it says, to some extent. To what extent are these notions validated? And to some extent, this accusation has some truth. Also, the usage of prepositions and dislikes are due to, this one is the preposition, factors that we are not necessarily, and according to Freud, this is another preposition. I also found the usage of some of, in this example, a father figure that some of us never had during development. Also, the usage of all of, despite all of the sort things I just said. The present perfect structure and prudence have had problems with this. And lastly, I found the ly adverbs plus enough. And the example is, and this is often followed up seriously enough. So the last thing I want to say is that I really enjoy watching those lectures because they are really helpful for me because they are about the same thing that I'm studying in university. So yeah, I found it really helpful. I am afraid this is all I have time for. So without further ado, I'm going to stop here. So thanks for listening. See you.